has a pattern to it that it's kind of interesting when you look at it, that to the point that some people thought it should have been two Psalms and not one. Um, there's no theological reason for it. There's no history for it being two Psalms. And if you look at it carefully, I think it really has a lot more to teach us as a single Psalm than if it was split. The idea of splitting is because it seems like it starts over here and then goes totally in the opposite direction. And that's fitting because that's our life. We stop and we think, how many times in our life have we had this concept of, I am walking with God? Okay, I mean, everything is going so good, and I just am all on fire for my God, and I'm just looking for more and more ways to serve him. I just trust him totally, and life is just fantastic. And then all of a sudden something happens, and it's like, God, where did you go? Why did you leave me? I mean, everything was so nice. And now, I can't even find you no more. I'm looking for you, I'm searching for you, but I can't find you. And then time goes on, and suddenly he appears again. Well, he never left. But that's what this psalm is teaching us. So there is the outline of what we're going to look at. But we're going to break it down and we're going to look at it with all the different aspects. So we'll start off with trust. Now, trust is something that we place in people that we know, and they've proven to be trustworthy. We place it in our God because he's proven to be trustworthy. But when we don't have trust, then we have what generally will lead to fear of some sort. So then fear becomes the driving force. So stop and think about this set of circumstances and see how you would react to it. You're driving down a road, and it's a lonely road, and you're not familiar with it at all. It's just kind of the directions that the GPS is taking you. And you're going down this stretch, and it's starting to get late, and it's sort of starting to get dark, but the GPS is keeping you on track, so everything is fine until, of course, the car malfunctions and it dies. So you're sitting there alongside of the road in a totally unfamiliar area. The sun has been going down, and now there's darkness. You have no cell service because you're just too far off the beaten path. So here you are sitting there. What do I do? Well, you know that somebody is going to come along and probably give you some help. So the fear factor hasn't gotten real great yet, until somebody that comes along is somebody that you have no idea who they are, and you take one look at them and say, I don't want to know who you are. I want you to just continue and get out of here. And no matter what their reaction, no matter how they speak, there's just that fear of, I don't trust you. I feel as though I'm in danger. You're in that unfamiliar place and that unfamiliar people. And so you got that fear builds up. Now, what do you do? Where do you turn? Here's another story. We'll just leave it stranded on the side of the road. We'll get back to that some other time. Okay? You go to the doctor because you've got this lump. You might say on the side of your head over here, there's just kind of a little lump, and it's nothing to get really worried about, concerned about. And the doctor says we have a next appointment for a couple weeks down the road, and I'll just take that off, and everything, you should be just fine. 2 weeks go by, and you go into the doctor, and the doctor, gives you a shot to numb it up a little bit, and cuts it off, puts a Band-Aid on it after they put a couple stitches in, and it's done. It's over with. No big deal. 2 weeks later, you get a phone call from the doctor's office to come in and get the stitches removed. Well, okay, that's normal. Go in there. Apparently, they didn't put those newfangled self-dissolving ones. So now I got to go in. Well, the nurse will just clip them and pull them, and everything will be fine. So I get to the doctor's office and go in there, and figure you're going to go to the nurse. No, wait a minute. What? No, the doctor wants to see you right now. What? Why? I know that they send it out of a habit or routine. They send us things in to have tested for cancer, and now I know I've got cancer because the doctor wants to see me, and the nurse isn't just going to take the stitches out. So I'm really getting nervous. I'm going to die now. That fear comes along. Okay, that's the other fear. We can relate to these fears because they're real. Now, we trust in God. We trust that he's going to take care of things. So we look at verses 1 through 6, and we see David's confidence. I mean, he is confident in the Lord. Verses 7 through 12, he's worried. The confidence factor is waning drastically. And then we have verses 13 and 14, great expectation. So as we break it down, we're going to see this. How often have we put our trust in God to take our burdens to him and know he will see us through? But after a while, that confidence wanes because we're not getting answers. See, it's that quietness, that quiet time when God isn't speaking back. He's just kind of letting us be. He's not responding in the way we're used to. I mean, usually I go before God in prayer, and as the day goes on, I hear him speaking to me, whether answering it or giving me some guidance or just even nothing else, just feeling the upliftedness of his spirit. So verses 1 through 3, the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the defense of my life, whom shall I dread? When evildoers come upon me and to devour my flesh, my adversaries and my enemies, they stumble and fell. Though a host encamp against me, my fear. Though war rise against me, in spite of this, I shall be confident. See, David started off, the Lord is my light and my salvation. The Lord has protected me. He has given me the light to guide me the way and to my salvation. He will save me. So who can I fear? If I've got God on my side, who should I possibly be afraid of? The Lord is my defense. Whom shall I dread? He will defend me. So I really have no reason to dread anything. When evildoers come around me, they come around to do me harm. You know, you're kind of broken down alongside of the road, and those set of lights that come along, and you realize that it's not a set of lights, it's a single light with another single light behind it, with another single light behind it, and so on and so forth. Now you begin to dread, who is this? What kind of people are these? So this whole host encamps around me. My heart will not fear. David is confident. He shall not fear. Though war rise against me, in spite of this, I'll be confident. Even if I'm totally surrounded, I shall be confident because my God will protect me. See, David's confidence in his God is just way out there. Verse 4, one thing I've asked of the Lord that I shall seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to meditate in his temple. See, David is making a request of God. Now, if you remember right, you have Solomon, his son, was asked by God, what do you want me to do for you? Kind of like what we would call a make-a-wish. Only you're making a wish with God. You know, he's the one that can pretty much do anything and everything, so it's just kind of like, wow. David is asking for kind of the same thing. And he's saying that it's not that I wish for all these other things that most people would wish for. What I want to do is I want to dwell in your presence. Of all the things in the world, the thing I most desire is to be in your presence every day, every week, all the time. That's what I want. Because I look back and I see the way that you have protected me, the way that you have cared for me, the way that your loving kindness has been over me all my life. I want this to continue. I want to be more in your presence. So David is continuing to build on that whole concept of, with God, anything is possible. With God, I have nothing to fear. That I may dwell dwell. Dwelling isn't just a place to hang out. Dwelling is to actually be with, live with, and to behold the beauty of the Lord. In other words, his greatness, his glory, because that's his beauty, his loving kindness. These are all the attributes of his beauty. Because he is so great and so glorious, his might is glorious. And I want to just sit there and behold it, see his glory. And then to meditate in his temple. In other words, it's not just that I want to be in your presence. It's not that I just want to see and spend time with you. I want to be able to really meditate. I mean, totally meditate on who you are and just take in all of this greatness and this glory. Just as it overwhelms me. I just want to bathe in it. This is what David's request is. Verses 5 and 6, as we continue in the confidence. For the day of trouble he will conceal me in his tabernacle. In the secret place of his tent he will hide me, and he will lift me up on a rock. And now my head will be lifted up above my enemies around me. And I will offer in his tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I will sing. Yes, I will sing praises to the Lord. If there's a problem, I don't worry about it because God will hide me from it. He will protect me. He's got a secret place. And that secret place, he was where he will hide me. Nobody will be able to get a hold of me. Nobody will be able to attack me. Because he is going to hide me. And then, not only will he hide me, but he will protect me. And then he will elevate me so that I'm above my enemies. So my enemies will now fear me instead of me fearing them. And I will offer in his tent sacrifices with shouts of joy. I am going to just shout from the mountaintop he's lifted me up to about the greatness of my God. I am going to shout so the whole world sees. I have no reason to fear because I have been elevated above. And I am in such a strong place that nobody can do any harm to me, can cause any problems for me. Because God has placed me out there, protected by himself. And in response, I shall just sing praises of joy. I am going to shout out so the whole world sees. I'm going to sing of his greatness. I'm going to sing his praises. And I will sing them so the whole world sees how my God, my great almighty God, is on my side, and there ain't nothing nobody can do against me. So don't even bother trying. David's confidence in his God. We have this confidence in our God. We know all these things are true. Nothing can come on us that God doesn't allow. We've talked about this before. Now we know for a fact that God is my protector. I have nothing to fear. If I get a bad report from the doctor, I don't have to fear because God's there to protect me. If I'm stranded alongside of the road in this dark, desolate place and a motorcycle gang comes, then God will protect me because more than likely will happen, it'll be one of these Christian motorcycle gangs and they'll just help me. I don't have to worry about it. God will take care of it. Verse 7, sudden change in tone. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice, and be gracious to me and answer me. I got all these wonderful things going on, and now I cry out to you. I'm getting silence. What's going on? After all the confidence David talked about, and he was trusting that God would protect him, the answer was not quick enough. So he cries out again. Do we do the same thing? Do we do that? Oh, time after time, God has just protected me. He has provided for me this wonderful thing that has happened here. I can relate these stories to just the way that God was in charge of the situation. And the end result was he just made sure that I was taken care of. And now, all of a sudden, I'm getting silence. Verses 8 and 9. When you said, seek my face, my heart said to you, your face I shall seek, Lord. Do not hide your face from me. Do not turn your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Do not abandon me or forsake me, O God of my salvation. David said, God, you told me to seek your face, and what did I do? I did it. I did what you told me to do, and I'm still not getting answers. Why are you hiding your face from me? Are you angry with me? Are you turning away? Did I do something wrong? Is that what's going on? You know, we have that fear. You know, we're going along through life and we're doing pretty good and things are going our way, and then all of a sudden it's not. And I think, what did I do? Is there some kind of offense that I did, that I hurt somebody and I really didn't intend to, but what was it? And we start racking our brain trying to figure out what is it that I have done that caused God to kind of shut me off. I must have done something, because everything was going so good and now all of a sudden it's not. So what did I do? You have been my help. I look in the past and I said, all these times, I come one after another, all these times that you helped me. But now you've abandoned me. You've forsaken me. I must have done something really, really rotten. I must have done something really, really bad. But you're the God of my salvation. I have no other place to turn. Verse 10, for my father and my mother have forsaken me, but the Lord will take me up. David is saying, even my own family is turned against me. But I know that you will take me back. He's kind of going back in that direction. He's feeling that a little bit more. Verse 12, do not deliver me over to the desire of my adversaries, for false witnesses have risen against me, and such as breathed out violence. Those that are against me, those that are opposed to me, Lord, they've found themselves some people to tell lies about me. They're not true. You know they're not true. But I'm in a predicament, and I'm not hearing from you, and it's getting really tough in here. You know, they're getting things put together, and it's not looking good. And they're even speaking of violence. They mean to actually do me harm over these false accusations. Verse 13, I would have despaired unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord. After all this time, I was going down and I was looking at all the problems that were there, and I was looking at the way that it felt just like, God, that you left me. But then I remembered your faithfulness. I remembered your promises. I remembered the fact that you said you would never leave or forsake me, that you would always be there for me. So during the times of troubles, when things just looked so blue and so gloom and things just were not going well, I remembered your promises. And I remembered that your promises are always true and right. I remembered that I can depend upon you. And when it comes to mind, when I think about these things, then I know that you are going to be there for me. Those times of silence, those moments when I was not hearing from you, wasn't that you were ignoring me. It wasn't that you didn't care. It was that you were teaching me. You were teaching me to trust you. Not to trust you in my timing, but in yours. To trust that what you're doing and how you're doing it is right and good. To trust you that whatever happens, it's for my good. I have received blessings from this. And I have to remember this. If everything always went my way, if every time there was the slightest problem, God came in and just took it away and wiped it out and solved it, I would never learn to trust. I would just become dependent. Well, dependent upon God is not a bad thing, but a dependence that includes trust is a much greater thing. So I must learn to trust my God. I must learn to depend on him that he is going to do what he says he will do because I trust him, because he is trustworthy. And we looked at a few weeks ago, his loving kindnesses. I love that word. That's the only place I've ever seen it used, is with God. His loving kindness we're familiar with, because everything he does for us is out of his loving kindness. But when David wrote about the loving kindnesses, it just multiplied it, obviously, because it just added it into the plural form. And it becomes that his loving kindnesses are around us every day. His loving kindnesses are with us when that lump gets removed and we think it's cancer. His loving kindnesses are with us when we're stranded on that lonely road. His loving kindnesses are with us when everything is going just wonderful. His loving kindnesses are with us no matter what the circumstances are surrounding us. So when we go through our life and we have these concepts of everything is so good and God is just doing wonderful things in my life. I mean, we are seeing things happen time and time again. And then we hit this dry spot. That dry spot is a teaching spot. That dry spot is a time in our life when he has something to teach us. So instead of crying out, why did you leave me, O Lord? Where are you at? I'm not hearing from you. Stop and think, what is it he's trying to teach me? Because he's trying to teach me something. And I need to figure out what that something is. He won't let me go too far. I just continue trusting, and I want to learn. I want to learn what that next step in life is, because until I learn this piece, I'm not ready for the next. Our life proceeds forward at his pace, but he's teaching us all along the way. And if we look back on our lives, we can see it. I was taught all these things early on so I could be where I'm at now. But I have to continue learning so I can continue to progress. And that's all part of being part of the family of God and serving in the kingdom of our God. I can't do it if I don't learn. I can't learn unless things go wrong. We learn more from our mistakes than anything else. So let's get out there and make mistakes. Oh no, that's not the way it's supposed to go. Okay. No, we strive. We strive to do what's right. We strive to do what's good. And we'll mess up. But from those, we learn something. It's when we continually do them, we continue to do stupid things. We're not learning, and we're going to suffer the consequences of it. There's no doubt, whether that be temporal or eternal. Let's not have eternal consequences. Let's have eternal glory, knowing that our God will never leave you, will never forsake you, will never let you down. For the Lord. Verse 14, be strong and let your heart take courage. Yes, wait for the Lord. We had this before, that wait for the Lord, and that, we explained it means waiting with great expectation. See, all these things we looked at, all these things we talked about will suddenly come together with wait. Because we have great expectation regardless if things are going wonderfully good, terribly wrong. God is always there, and we're waiting for him to come to us. And we're waiting with that great expectation because we know he's coming. We know he's there going to take care of us. We know that he is there, and he is Almighty God. Nothing is outside of his control.